You're ready, kind sir. We're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm ready. Mhm.
Go right ahead, Dr. Gadsden. We're on the air live, sir.
All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Writers Wordshop. So glad to have this opportunity to speak to you once again. You know, we have this every Friday night right here on The Voice, 17104 Harrisburg. I was just talking to Brother Chris. He was just informing me, and, we did receive the invitation when I think about it, his renewing of his vows with his lovely wife, Melissa. Brother Chris, congratulations. I know it's going to be wonderful. And how many years, man? Is it 10? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, sir. By God's grace, it's been 10 years, and should Jesus tarry, we look forward to another 10 years. We're trying to catch up to you guys, but we got quite a way to go.
No, brother, you right on my heels. You nipped it, man. No, you just claim it, brother. You already got it. But no, congratulations. That's wonderful. And many, many more, many more blessed days together, man. You guys make a great team. And so,
Thank
and
you so much,
also
man.
your little one is really growing up. I saw you in the picture of you and her, and I was like, oh man, she is really
Yes,
growing. That's
sir.
good.
Yes, sir. She's
That's
8
good.
going on 80, sir. You know how
And
fast
that's
they
something
grow up.
fantastic, man. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, again, congratulations. I understand everything's going to take place tomorrow at Wesley Church, right?
Yes, sir. It's by invitation only, the reception. The
Mm-hmm.
wedding's open to anyone. We ask people to RSVP potentially
Mm-hmm.
because the food's going to be catered.
Oh, yeah.
We have a program and we have limited seating as well.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
sure.
Mm-hmm. But as far as the wedding itself, hey, that's fantastic, man. Well, listen, again, congratulations. God bless you, and many blessings upon your marriage because you guys do so much in this community and
Thank you
help
so
so many
much.
people. So appreciate you, man.
Thank you,
Keep
Dr. G.
spreading God's word, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You better believe it, brother.
All right. And I do want to say also to everyone, tonight is also the last night, I believe, of the citywide revival of the IMC, the Interdenominational Ministers Conference. They've been going strong, I think, since about 1968, and they still are going strong. And they are doing a tremendous job. And this citywide revival, I went the first night, which was Wednesday evening, and Dr. Brenda Alton preached, and she brought the house down. I mean, I know her speech was hard hitting. Her sermon was hard hitting, truthful, to the point, and inspiring as well. She really brought all the elements. If you weren't comfortable, hey, I understand. But sometimes the truth will set us free, but it makes us a little uncomfortable. Amen. And so she did a magnificent job. And I understand last night too, the brother who brought the word was fantastic as well. And I'm sorry I missed his, and I'm missing the course tonight. But I'm sure everybody was been blessed and will continue to be blessed, by attending the citywide revival. There's some pictures from Dr. Brenda Alton delivering the word, and so yeah, good stuff, good stuff. But oh man, brother Owens, how you doing, man?
Great. How you doing, Nate? Good to
I'm
see
doing
you.
good, man. Peace, brother. So glad you joined me. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, this is Brother Owens out of North Carolina. So glad to have him on. And I was just talking about we have a thing here called the Citywide Revival, put on by our local, it's predominantly African American churches, called the IMC, the Interdenominational Ministers Conference. And you can see the speakers, Reverend Dr. Brenda Alton. I got to get my other glasses here. Reverend, looks like Marlon Carter, and also is that Jameson McLaughlin? Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Correct.
Yeah, he's speaking tonight. Yes. So anyhow, yeah, I definitely got to go change his glasses. But anyhow, yeah, it was really powerful. That opening night was fantastic. I wasn't able to go last night, and certainly won't be tonight, of course, because we're here. But if you missed it, I actually taped Dr. Alton's message and put it on Facebook. So you may be able to catch it by going to my Facebook page, just Nathaniel Gadsden, and scroll down, and hopefully you come across it and be able to enjoy it. It was quite a message. Anyhow, having said that, how you been, man? What's been going on?
Good. I'm just been staying busy.
All right.
Working hard, keeping busy, and dealing with everything that's going on in this crazy world.
Oh man, there's a lot going on, brother. There's a
a
lot going on. Well, yes, indeedy. And like you said, this crazy world, brother. Oh my goodness, man. And there's the man-made disasters, the natural disasters, and all kinds of stuff going on,
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's good people like yourself and others who are out there doing good stuff, man. So there's the good and the bad, But I always tell people, let's not forget the good, because there's some really good stuff going on. And this is one of the
Right.
good places where people come together, writing and, lifting up, the word in many different forms and fashions. So just keep doing what you're doing, brother. We need you.
Well, this is one of those sanctuaries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's exactly what it is. Sanctuary. There's a couple of things coming up too, by the way. Tomorrow we're having our Dauphin County Cultural, what is it called? The Dauphin County Cultural Fest. And they just bringing big names, like they had, oh man, I can't even start naming all the names, but oh, come on now, what's the sister's name? She played drums and all that. Latino sister, played with Prince. Sheila E. Sheila
Yeah,
E.
so
was
yeah,
one of my
okay.
favorites. Yeah, she literally tore the place up. She was fantastic. And at that time, I think Sheila E. was probably about 62, 63. She danced all night, all over that stage, and sang, didn't miss a beat. Fantastic performance. And then they have many other people. Like I said, I'm just going to draw a blank. But I know they had Big Daddy Kane here before. He was fantastic. And you can just go on and on and on. So it's a nice festival. And what I like about it is, it's usually right before, kids go back to school. It's free. It's a big free concert that they put on, along with all kinds of vendors and all kinds of food trucks and stuff like that. So it's a nice time. So folks, if you have an opportunity to get out, do it tomorrow. It starts at 3:00. It's down on what they call the City Island. There it is. Okay, thank you, Brother Chris. The City Island Park. Yes, there's a Riverfront Park is what they call it. City Island. The Riverfront Park. Let me stop saying that. The City Island is a whole different park. But anyhow, and it's going to be real nice. And I noticed that you have some folks there that people recognize and know. And the stage is hot. They don't stop. I mean, they just keep it rolling. And folks really come out in droves for that. It does start off with a lot of things for youth, by the way, starting at 3:00. They have a lot of stuff for young people, or kids in particular. So come out and support that, man. And bring your kids and you will have a lot of fun. But anyhow, that's
And
tomorrow. And yes,
hey,
indeed. So, hey, look
hey,
at
God
that.
bless you,
Look
Neil.
who's
How
in
are
the
you
back
holding up,
back there.
man?
Hey, Chris, hey, how you doing, brother?
Very well, very well. I was actually trying to reshare the blew up version of the Cultural Fest. The flyer
Okay,
you were just talking about, it escaped me there for a minute. So give me one.
okay.
There
She
you
even
go.
pulled it up. I'm gonna switch out these glasses, man. Oh, there you go. Chubb Rock. Now come on. Chubb Rock was big back in the day. Remember
Yeah.
he was
Oh yeah.
slamming. Yeah, now a lot of young folks know Stokely. It says from Mint Condition. Mint Condition was a great group. I'm not as familiar with just Stokely as a solo artist, but I'm getting a lot of buzz about it. Positive Forces Experience, okay. Human service organizations, of course, will be there. And looks like Adrian Anthony, group hypnosis. Okay, group hypnosis. All right, I don't know about that now. Group hypnosis. Had me quacking like a duck. No, but no, man, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I hope people show up for it. And it should be good stuff. So.
No.
But also, I was mentioning before you came on, Brother Owens, that tomorrow also our own brother Chris Thomas and his wife Melissa, they're renewing their vows, 10 years.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they're gonna have a ceremony tomorrow, starting at 1:00 and all that.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yes,
Yeah.
indeed. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. As far as the Writers Workshop is concerned, too, by the way, on November the 9th, we're having a I keep saying that. That's not true. No, it's October the 14th. October the 14th and October the 15th, we're having our first annual awards banquet for the Writers Workshop. And we're just going to have it at Central Penn College here in the Harrisburg area. And I'll tell you more about that as we go along, but we're still putting all the pieces together. We're going to have a flyer made up and all that stuff and inviting people out. We hope that you'll come out. But I also found out just today, in fact, this is how life is. That is also the same day and evening of the NAACP's, big awards, annual dinner that they have here. And we never missed it. We always go to that and had no idea it was being planned on the same day, the 14th of October. But we're probably going to make an adjustment and have our event a little bit earlier so that people can do both. We'll probably have it more like around a luncheon as opposed to, because I don't want to compete with the NAACP. I revere what they do, and I always enjoy going to it. So I'll tell you more as we get closer to the times and all that kind of stuff, but we will make our adjustment, okay? Just to let you know. November the 9th, we're going to do a program at the Forum, which is huge. It's a beautiful facility. It's an old historic piece.
Nope.
And it's been around since, who knows? I don't know how long the Forum's been there. But in Harrisburg, it's one of our largest venues. And we're going to have a big poetry night for high school students. We got to get all the word out. You got to wait till they go back and all that stuff. But starting the latter part of August, first part of September, we'll be recruiting students to participate in this event, and they will win cash prizes, both in the middle school level as well as the high school level, and to be held at the Forum, which means we're talking about some 1,800 to 2,000 people potentially could be a part of that. And we're gonna have all kinds of activities and entertainment for that as well. So y'all stay tuned, because there's a lot of good stuff coming up. Of course, Kwanzaa, we're hoping that Kwanzaa will take place in the second Saturday in December, and we're hoping to have it at the Harrisburg High School gymnasium. Everything is not finalized yet, but we're working quickly to make it final. And, of course, that's a huge event that we always put on every year here in Harrisburg. Okay, having said those things, let's move on. Brother, let's talk about some stuff that we want to talk about. First off, did you catch, was that last week? Let me ask Brother Chris if he'll come back on again. Brother Chris, was that last week when we had Dr. Maurice Henderson on?
Yes, sir. When he had the other special guest with him as well.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that, brother. I forget his name at this time, but I thought he was powerful. He's a powerful speaker, and like I said, I enjoyed him. We don't necessarily not on the same plane on a lot of different things, but I like when people can explain whatever it is that you're about.
Sure.
Can explain it, and also he's a wealth of knowledge. And like I said, we may differ on some things, but the spirit was right. I mean, he really had a really powerful spirit. And I want to thank Dr. Maurice Henderson for bringing him to us and also participating. We actually covered, as you know, we talked a lot about the incident down in Montgomery, Alabama, and the fight that took place on the pier and all that kind of stuff. And we all kind of gave our perspective on. I really thank Wendy for coming on. Wendy's always an excellent speaker and did a really nice job of giving us more background. And so I appreciated that program last week. So yeah, what'd you think about it, Chris? Love Chris. Chris probably doing something else there.
No, sorry about that.
No.
No, I thought it was very informative. Again, both guests were very knowledgeable. And Wendy, like you said, played a grand part because she really understood a lot of the narrative behind, what really took place and what all the characters, who they were, what they did. So I think that it was a very, very, very engaging program last week.
I did too. I was really, really pleased with the way it turned out. I hope I didn't sound too, because I love my boy, Maurice. But Maurice was trying to take the program over. I said, wait a minute now, Maurice, come on now. Play your role, be the guest. So I hope I didn't come off too hard on that, Brother Chris. I mean, I know you tell me straight, but, again, I appreciated what he did and bringing everybody on. But anyhow, so having said all that, that's what we're going to talk about tonight, man. I mean, I know we're going to be joined by some other folks. There was a guest actually that I was hoping would come on this evening. She's from Aetna Insurance, and she's been one of our main sponsors for a lot of our events. And we had a promise to bring her on, and she did poetry for us during the poetry and pastry event that we had. And she brought the house down for a piece that it's not an original piece, but she did part in Spanish and part in English. And it was strong. It was a very strong piece. And everybody really enjoyed that. So I was hoping that we would have her on tonight to kind of talk. And I was going to see if she recreate that piece for us. But anyhow, or recite it for us. But I haven't heard from her this week. So we'll see. I don't know if she's going to join us or not. But anyhow, having said that, tell us, man, what do you have on your schedule? What's going on, Brother Owens?
Well, my schedule is I'm busy, kind of like working on quite a few different things, but I'm working on my next book, and then also getting ready, like I said, probably I'd say something next month. no later than sometime in October, I'll be putting out the releasing the storyteller. But I'll do that. But I'll holler at Chris prior to that, so I'll get him up when so we can I can get on his schedule.
Yeah.
And coordinate it so I can. I'm thinking sometime next month or maybe even October, man. But it won't be beyond October.
Okay. Yeah, I hope you do, because I've enjoyed every time you lifted it up, a passage out of it. I've always enjoyed it, man, and I think you're onto something big with that. So, looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Let me do this real quick, because I just definitely grabbed the wrong glasses here. I'll be right back. If you have something you want to talk about, because, people do watch us on Facebook and the other platforms as well.
Yeah,
Chris
can throw down one of those great poems.
Oh, yeah. If you'd like to put up a video for us, Brother Chris, that's an excellent suggestion. I know you always pull something down for us. If you could put a video on down, and I'll go get myself together here, and then we'll come back and have a conversation with writer Brother Owens here. Okay, here we go.
Dear Uncle Sam, I am a Nigerian man born into American soil. And maybe because we're related by blood, that's why I prefer hip-hop and go-go over dancing to Niger bands, jeans over lace, rap bars over dad's farm, agnostics over Christianity, good music over God music, and ebonics over pigeon. Listen, I was raised in your society while told to live for another. Imagine the repercussions of grabbing a bird, but throwing that bird into the water, but still expecting him to fly. So please do not blame me for developing gills instead of wings, because I'm just adapting to my environment a long time ago. I asked my father and mother, why do all of my relatives know how to speak my native language of Idoma, and I don't? It was then that she informed me of the dire decision you forced her to make, in which they agreed to teach me and my siblings English first in order to excel in class and academics, and then our native language, but the then never came to pass. I suppose maybe that's why my knowledge of Othello comes at expense of my ignorance towards Okonkwo. Now the only thing we have in common are the two worlds that we live in. So you can best believe that both of these things are falling apart, and if you read Ochebe's book, you would understand the African pun. If not, I guess you just don't understand my people. Matter of fact, scratch that. Just call them Africans like you always do, because you gave me no right to claim them anymore. See, Uncle Sam, my family has been filled with Africans speaking in American accents for generations, but you made me the only one vice versa. My mom always told me, Josh, find a girl with good African roots. I tell her, okay, Mom, as long as her hair has no African roots. She says, hold on, son, what are you saying? Because last time I checked, you were African too. But now, Mom, see, you keep on dodging the truth, because in all honesty, you, Dad, and Uncle Sam never even asked me to choose. The truth of the matter is, Mom, I was African in the placenta, but the moment that you began crowning at the top of my head meant incoming American heir rather than the crown of an African prince. I was born a U.S. citizen. See, Uncle Sam, you always tell me there is a time and place for everything, but you made my mother birth me in between both. You always tell me that if I cannot beat them, join them, but what happens if neither is an option anymore? Uncle Sam, how dare you give me A's in class and academics when I begin to fail immediately when I cross overseas? Because see, what you told me was that knowledge was universal. But see, now I realize I know all of the words except for the ones that truly matter, such as las palabras para mí no son significantes, lest I give a twist and turn like the ones I just gave in Espanol. Bravo. Don't you all see the sorrow? How I can use Spanish to spit some shady Jay-Z puns that when it's all said and done, I don't even know my own native tongue. And if I can't speak myself, I can't think myself. And if I can't think myself, I can't be myself. But if I can't be myself, I will never know me. So Uncle Sam, tell me this: if I will never know me, how can you? Thank you.
All right. I want to call it the last part of that, but it's pretty interesting. Okay. What you think, Neil? You're muted right now.
Yeah, sound like a young man who's definitely divided and going through a lot of confusion and challenges and hitting some things, and yeah, it on a lot of different points. But yeah, it was a it really is a young man that's trying to find himself, and he's kind of got issues with his, not only with Uncle Sam, but also with his mother too. So yeah, he's yeah, he's trying to find himself.
You know, it's funny that you said that, because when I sat down, I mean, I remember I went to get my glasses, and so I came back on the tail end, halfway through the poem, I would imagine, and I wasn't sure where he was going with it, and I was confused a little bit about, was he going left, right, down the middle, or backwards? I wasn't sure either. So he's trying to find himself, and that sounded like that in the piece that I heard. So I'm with you 1,000% on that. He's trying to find himself, and he was not real sure if whether or not he's embracing his Africanness is you know, what he was embracing. I'm not sure, but intriguing in the sense that, you know, he laid it out there. Even though it's kind of all over the place. Huh, interesting. Very interesting. So, but and I don't know how old the brother was, but you know, young man, he's thinking, and then we got to applaud that. You know, he's out there putting it down, man. And I think that's what I love about the Writers' Workshop, about listening to people like yourself and others. You make us think, you know, just by using words and thoughts. And you know, sometimes I know we got into a big debate once in the Writers' Workshop, and it's been happening for all the various you know, writing groups. That is, when someone writes something, does it automatically reflect their thinking or their life, or is it just something that they do in a creative way to put themselves in that space and create a character? Is it a character they're creating, or is it a story that they're telling? You know, is it part of their philosophy, or is it something else?
I think it's I think it depends, and it can be both. It can be sometimes this, sometimes that.
That's right.
So that's just a part of being an artist. And this confusion may not be his at all. This could be a character that he's creating, and
that's right.
And there's so many out there that's like that. So yeah, when you read, it's not necessarily them. It's a creation of a character that may reflect things that it's within their own thoughts and their own imagination, their own parts.
That's right. That's right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much when you start getting into the mind and how it works, and
that's
all of those things, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. I always go back to an example, I've used it many times, and that is, we had I forget his name. He was a great guy, Smith. I know was his last name, but anyhow, a white dude came out of like, let's say New Hampshire, whatever. He's a professor, and he said one day, he said, you know, I was married to Patricia Smith, and Patricia Smith is one of the, you know, preeminent poets in this country, and very powerful speaker and also a deep thinker. And so she once wrote a piece where she decided she was a skinhead. She was a white skinhead, young white skinhead. And she wrote this piece as if she was talking, you know, to the world from the lens of a skinhead. And he said, well, why would you do that? And he was questioning, you know, her about that. And then he decided to do a piece where he was looking at, you know, the homosexual community, or the, you know, gay community. And so he wrote this piece, and she said, well, why would you do that? He said, well, it's just, you know, art, you know, and I'm just trying to, you know, speak from that person's lens, that person's view. He said, no different than what you did. And they went back and forth. And it is interesting that as a writer, as an artist, do we always have to be telling the hard truth, or sometimes are we just simply putting ourselves in this position to look through the world from a different lens? But then people think, well, no, that must be you. You know, you must be that way. Or why would you write that or something? You know, it's just crazy, man. But I listen to your characters and all that, you know, the various pieces that you lifted up. And, you know, you're able to put yourself in a politician's skin, and many different, you know, characters that you brought out. Same thing with Ro Brady. She does a nice job of that. I think Wendy does a great job of that. You know, crafting these things that may or may not necessarily be you, but you give voice to it. And so,
Right.
and until you tell me, oh, this actually was me, I wouldn't know it. You know what I mean? This character is really, you know, a character based on who I am and what I feel, my philosophy. Or, you know, no, I'm totally against this. I'm just writing, you know. So interesting stuff. Interesting. Huh. Let me lift up something. There's a book that I know a lot of people were checking out, the 1619 Project, for years, and I love this piece, you know. And then the sister has a piece on there's a Netflix, it's one of them, but she, you know, she's been doing a lot of work in this area. And I want to lift up a poem called Before His Execution by Tim Siebels, is the way I'm going to pronounce it, Tim Siebels. But before I do that, she has in here July 2nd, 1822. White authorities in Charleston execute Denmark Vesey, a free Black man, an AME church member, and 5 others who were captured and put on trial for planning a rebellion. Vesey, who had been inspired by the successful uprising in Saint Dominica that led to the Haitian Revolution, intended to burn much of Charleston and set sail for Haiti. His plan attracted many dozens of followers, both free and enslaved, which eventually led to word of the plot reaching local authorities. And this says, before his execution, and it's just a poem, it says here, this chiming light, like God's voice, has found me most mornings. And so many days I treated the dawn as if it were common like milkweed or moss. This is the curse of too much trouble, too much thinking and watching my thoughts. Couldn't see past the chance for freedom and plans for revenge that I savored and believed would have worked. Though this be my last sunrise and what continues will continue beyond my reach, I am afraid not of the noose, nor of white men and their ease with brutality, but of willful ignorance, that famous stupidity that gives its adherents comfort and many companions. Ever since I came to know how and why my life was disfigured, it's been fury that woke me, fury that took my weary body to bed. I go to bed forever soon, my heart blacker yet for all we might have done. The ones who betrayed us got a few coins, some new shoes, maybe 2 days rest from the fields. And because they've known the cutting snap of the lash, maybe God can somehow forgive them. That's a powerful piece. Before he dies, this is what he's thinking. He was betrayed by those who got a few coins,
Right.
and maybe a couple of days out of the field.
Right.
But you know, maybe God can forgive them, right? Powerful stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's powerful and on point, man, because you can just sit back and, you know, not necessarily, okay, you're not living those days, but you can feel it. And that's just, your spirit was there. You know, it's like, you know, I've been here before. I know I've been here before. I know we all been here before. We are the only men that realize it.
Okay.
But we've been here before. And that spirit, man, is alive and in me. And that's the same spirit that comes back, going back into the ancient of days, all the way back in there.
There you go.
You know, the beginning of days. I mean, that spirit is there, man, and
it is.
You know, ain't gone nowhere. And I mean, you just think about what we went through with the whole slavery piece, and what it was like, man, and just I mean, just imagine life, man. I mean, I mean, you know, the savagery and cruelty. I mean, it's you know, it's really undocumented, man, just how bad it really was.
Amen. Amen. And hey, who's that? Is that Wendy?
Yeah, that's Wendy.
It is.
Wendy, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Yes, indeed. The little difference sitting there. I'm like, well, now wait a minute. I know that face.
It's me. It's on my way to California again.
You got, oh, there you go.
Oh,
That's an inside joke from outside.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yesterday.
Hey, Neil, how are you?
How you doing, Wendy? Great, great.
Good to see you.
Fantastic. Well, listen, by the way, thank you again for coming on last week. You did a great job helping us to
Thank
really
you.
frame. Yeah, I was saying that earlier, how you helped us to frame that that whole discussion. You know, good stuff. Good
Yes,
stuff. Yeah.
it was a
So.
very interesting conversation. For anyone that didn't hear it, I would suggest that they go back and listen to it
Mhm.
because it was several different perspectives. Interesting, very interesting.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
It's
I thought
like,
that was the best way to put it. But it's just, I mean, I think it's really good when certain things happen in our community that we have those kind of conversations. So I appreciate the venue and the opportunity, the table to discuss it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and I was actually kind of surprised at, one perspective, I'll say it that way. And I thought, oh, okay, wow, I'm surprised. But at the same time, as you said, it was good because it enlivened the conversation. Good stuff, good stuff. So,
Yes.
and I see you driving, so I know you ain't going to recite no poetry for us right now, but
Not right now. No,
be
once I
safe
get
out there now.
situated. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
indeed. Be safe. Yeah, so there was, I was just talking about the 1619 project. By the way, there's I want you to make sure that, I don't know if you'll be around, but I hope you will. October the 14th, we're hoping to have a major dinner or luncheon, one or two, I think it's will be a luncheon at this point, honoring, folks from the Writers Wordshop or people that we want to lift up in our community who have been promoting writing, poetry, and all that good stuff. And we're going to have it at Central Penn College, so we're nailing everything down. I did find out today one little hiccup, and that is that the NAACP's annual dinner is that same
Oh, wow.
day. And I don't want to
Okay.
keep with that. Yeah, it's like, wow, after you did all this planning and all the dates and everything. But anyhow, so we're
So
probably.
they're going to just have to change theirs then, right?
I was thinking that, I said, I'll let Wendy tell them, but
I'm on it. Don't worry.
I'll
I
send
got you
you.
covered.
Right on. But I am thinking of changing ours to more of a luncheon kind of thing, and then that way people can come to the
Sure.
lunch and then go on to that. So we'll talk more about that. But
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come up, folks. I'm going to try to read a piece here. We were talking about a lot of things. And this again, it comes from the 1619 project. And this is Nicole Hannah Jones. She created this piece and she won the Pulitzer Prize for it. But she has some outstanding poetry lifted up in there as well. And I want to lift up a piece real quick. First, the reflection. June the 24th, 1731. An enslaved man named Samba, who works as an interpreter for the Superior Council in the French colony of Louisiana, is charged with planning an uprising. 2 years earlier, enslaved people and Native Americans joined forces in the Natchez Rebellion, which killed more than 200 French settlers in Louisiana. In its aftermath, rumors of new plots abounded. One concerned Samba, a Bambaria man who had been a bootman in the Senegal River and was sold into slavery after attempting to lead an uprising against the French in Africa. For his alleged conspiracy in Louisiana, Samba and other plotters are either burned alive or broken on the wheel. Burned alive or broken on the wheel. Can you imagine? That's what they did to our people and didn't blink. So, Conjured is the name of the poem. Honoree Fana Jeffers. So the officer and I reported the conspiracy to revolt to the governor, who was very satisfied with my conduct to have stopped these 8 conjured Africans without anyone noticing. That's Antoine Simon, and a historian from Louisiana. It says, how old, how tall, how kind. We won't ever know, but Samba kept plotting the demise of the French until his end. And all right, that's a tragedy for him. The one whose name means second son in the Fugli language, as well as those other conspiring Africans who died alongside him. Were they conjured, as that Frenchman claimed, his excuse for soaring their flesh with fire? These men who dared to want freedom? Or did those brothers simply love Samba, a man who'd revolt once before back in Africa in some fort that was constantly tugged between the French and the Portuguese? Samba had refused to accept slavery. Perhaps he knew that death is a blink, a pain before crossing to a place of no bondage. And aren't you reading Samba's story right now? Aren't you curling your lips around his people's language and tasting the blood of struggle? And what of that colonizer who resorted to the cowardly will, recording what he believed to be victory over Samba? Be honest with me. Will you even remember that Frenchman's name? But we do know Samba, don't we? Samba was a bad man. I like
Oh,
that.
I like that.
Yeah. He plotted his freedom and he fought for his freedom. Even though they burned him, they broke him, they killed him. You know,
Yeah.
we remember his name, but how about the Frenchman? Don't know who he was. Don't even know.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyhow, just some pieces I like to share tonight from 1619. So
We did that last week.
yeah, we did. We needed that last week to say it. We needed it.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we did. We needed that. Yes, we did. I'm glad I thought of it tonight, but yeah, you're right. That would have been perfect for last week.
Yeah.
Perfect discussion. Okay. So let's talk about, any subject you'd like to put on the table in terms of the writing process, anything that's coming up, anything that's in the news or whatever that sparked a, conversation for you. What might it be?
For me, it's the indictment of number 45, but not so much about him, but about Fannie Willis, the Fannie Willis, as she read, did you, I don't know if you saw she's the district attorney, but I don't know if you saw the press conference.
No,
But this sister, when she came out and read the indictment,
I did see it. I'm sorry. Yes.
18. Yes, it was 18. I once again, and well, let me say this. I believe that we miss opportunities to be proud and to see where we've elevated.
Amen.
I think we missed opportunities to celebrate what we've done and where we've come to. And then I think we also don't get the whole picture unless you look a little deeper.
Yeah.
So her name is Fannie Willis, and a friend of mine said, well, her name is Fannie, so you knew she was gonna get her.
Good.
So he said he had Fannie in Atlanta and Lakeisha in New York. So he had the old school in Atlanta and the new school in New York. But after reading a little bit about her, so her father was also an attorney, and he was one of the members of the Black Panther movement.
Yeah, I heard that.
She was sworn in. She was sworn in on January 5th, the day before the January 6th, thing. And she almost came in ready to go. And she has a 90.3% success rate.
Go ahead.
90.3. That means that he has 9.7% chance, which is like an ice cube, and that's the kind of chance. Yes, that's the kind of chance. I was really glad to see that whole thing, But more than anything, I was glad, and you talk about, a writing point. I was just glad for another opportunity to celebrate.
There you go.
Another opportunity to, another little light, little beacon of light to say that it's not all bad.
Mhm.
And we're not, we're not where we were. We got a long way to go, but look, there are some things happening that you got to recognize and see that we are really doing some things.
We do a thing at work where we call it, do you have a win? So we all lift up something that we want to say, this is a win. And one of the
Yes.
shows we need to do one night has to do with wins. And what you're doing is lifting up how that's just, think about it. She's in a position, to do what she's doing. She's well prepared. She's very successful at what she does. And like you said, that's just like, it's like, we're missing that. We should be celebrating the fact that we have people in our midst who haven't come out of this context of enslavement, of degradation, all that kind of stuff. We've now risen to the part where we're able to make decisions and knock down some doors, tear down some statues, rewrite some of that stuff that they're trying to tell us, never existed. It's like, oh, y'all kidding me? So we have some warriors out there, and we need to celebrate our warriors. I like that. I like what you're saying. So every now and then, let's sit down and think about how we can all begin to think of some of our heroes and sheroes, if you want to call them that, and start talking about some wins that we have, right now in our midst. Okay, I like it.
Absolutely. And there was one more connected to her. I believe her name is Sonia Nantuck. She's the judge. So the judge over this case was randomly selected. And we would not have known who it was, because I don't think we paid attention. A woman of color. We would not have known until a woman in Texas called and threatened her and her family and said that if number 45 does not win in 2024, that they would kill her and her family. But what she said was she called her a slave and the N-word.
Yeah.
See, we can't don't let them take you back, because see, that will take you back someplace you don't want to go. Look at the win. Look at the bigger picture. This was a random. It was, the judges are selected randomly.
Yeah. And so it's but the good stuff, Wendy. It's a great point. And what we have to remember too is the reason why it's going over our head is that we're no longer reading our own press. So this to me is a perfect example why the Black press needs to be revived in our minds and our spirits. We are inundated with information these days. They call this the information age. But we need to know that the Black perspective needs to be lifted up more. We do have some shows, but not enough. And we do have some newspapers, but not enough. And some writers. But we need to really begin to live, because literally the Black press is almost dying right in front of our eyes. And it's like, wait a minute, we're not even talking about it. So that story, those stories that you just lifted up, that information is out there. But we're just not celebrating, so we're not buying. And therefore, if we're not buying, it's dying. Hope we didn't lose Neil. Neil, you still around, brother?
I think he's still there. He's still on. He just turned his camera off.
Okay. Yeah, I hope you don't.
Yeah, he's still there. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important that we, and that's, I can't remember which one. I think it's Fuji Chakalia, but one of the principles of Kwanzaa is to speak for ourselves and to name ourselves and to be able to have our own, our own voice. And so I think that is something that is really lacking, and especially right now with everything that's going on. Let me tell my story. I don't want you to tell my story for me. And I think Nikki Giovanni said, if they ever tried to do her eulogy, that they wouldn't talk about how poor she was, but wouldn't know that all the while she was happy. Wasn't that Nikki Giovanni?
I think it was. Yeah. I think it was Nikki. Yeah. I want you to check out tonight the piece they're going to do on what's the brother's name? So on Good Morning America, former football player.
I know, with the gap in his teeth. I know.
Yeah.
Michael Strahan.
So this morning they previewed a piece that they did on as a thing called the 1 million 1 Million Voices or the 1 Million Project. I'd never heard of it, but anyhow,
Okay.
what they're doing is they're trying to get, it's African, it's all about African-American, enslaved voices, people that have either experienced slavery or have ancestors that were in slavery. And he went back and found a lot of his relatives, and they show him going back and meeting these people out. But this sister pulled together this project that is a massive project, and it's like a 1 million something. But they're going to
Wow.
preview it tonight. It's going to be on the full blast piece, and then also it's on Nightline. So I wish I had more. I can get the information, but anyhow, check it out. It should probably be on this evening around 8 or 9, and it's going to obviously be on ABC. But it has to do with not just Strahan. He's kicking it off, but it's all of us, quite frankly, and how we have to reconnect to our past and everything. Yeah, powerful stuff. So, now, Brother Owens, Neil, I know you're dealing with the dogs there, my brother. If you got a second, I want to get Neil in on the conversation here too. He may be.
I think he's off camera and he's on mute, but
Okay.
probably can hear you. But yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Wendy. You were getting ready to say another piece.
No, I said that Neil is off camera. He's there, but he's off camera. But yeah, I think it's also important to what you said. I think it's important to be able to tell our story, but also to know our history.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so often we miss our family, like our family history and our family trees. And I think we miss it because, a lot of families have secrets.
Yeah.
And because they have secrets, the family tree doesn't get told quite the same, And so we miss it. And I think that that's something else that we should do better.
One of the things
we're learning.
Yeah, but one of the things that comes out of is that whole, people say, well, slavery was years ago, but we still have residual effect of a lot of that stuff. We were taught not to tell our story, because that could be detrimental to our not livelihood, to our life, And so, yeah, we put a lot of stuff in.
Absolutely. When I went to Birmingham for our family reunion, one of the things we did, and I think I mentioned it before, but we went to the cemetery, and it's in Warrior, Alabama. So I just Googled the Warrior Cemetery in, Warrior, Alabama. Yeah. So we went to the cemetery, didn't see any of the family there. Come to find out, there's 2 Warrior cemeteries, one for the Black people, one for the white people. And so we finally found the one, but just looking at the different grave sites and things of family and hearing who's who, but there was a switch in the name. Nobody knows why, nobody knows who. It was Falks, Faulks. Somebody just changed it and dropped the S. And then someone just changed it to Washington. And there was it wasn't like this person got married to a Washington. It was just changed to Washington. And you see that a lot in a lot of families during that time,
And speaking of which, let me ask Neil, talk about you mind sharing a little bit about your family and background, and did all your people come from the South, or were they from all over? Tell us a bit about yourself.
My grandfather came from North Carolina, Monroe, and my grandmother from Powhatan in Virginia. The country outside of Richmond. So yeah, we from the South, man. My roots are from the South.
One of the things that Wendy just lifted up is that a lot of times we didn't tell our stories, we just held it all in. And so did your family did you have a ritual of telling the story and who did what and all that kind of stuff? Or were people more sort of hush in your family in terms of,
No, my family is very outspoken, especially my uncles. So they talked a lot and told a lot. And for me, I was always studying, man. For me, I was always into history. So I was always listening and watching the news and all this stuff, as a young kid. So I was a researcher, so I was really into a lot.
All right, all right.
dealing with the history, and so I
Yeah.
was very much, like I said, it goes back to that spirit, Nate. You know, the spirit is in us, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that spirit is in me. Those slaves and stuff, that spirit of a slave is in me.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
it lives,
Yeah.
and so
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, I feel the pain, suffering. I ain't got nobody. I see it going on and
Mhm.
happening every
Mhm.
day, and it's all around us.
Yes,
And
it is.
these people are moving to bring it back. And what disappoints me
Mhm.
is that a lot of Black women are very aware of what's going on.
Mhm.
And it seems to be more so from the brothers I be meeting. A lot of them are not as vocal. They seem to be not as
Mhm.
focused on what's happening, man.
Yeah.
You know, is what these people are doing.
Mhm.
And it's just like teaching the kids now the benefits of slavery and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, this is real stuff that's happening,
Yes, it
and it's
is.
going on. I mean, this is really
Mhm.
this is some wild stuff, man. And it's
Well, every
just
time
like,
they open their mouths, I'm sorry.
yeah, and it's just like you know, it's like you got, you know, like when you're talking about 45 running around.
Mhm.
I mean, this man actually tried to overthrow the government. And there are people who are still loving to vote for him in the Republican Party.
Mhm.
He's still their favorite person. Well, this man tried to do all this. And that's so why is that? Why is that? Why would somebody who say who go in there and people who testified against him and said that what he did was wrong? Yet they say that if he's the nominee, they will vote for him.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
will still vote for him.
But the guy out of Florida just received a memo from one of his super PACs, and they said that when they have the debate, that when Christie from New Jersey attacks Trump, that he's supposed to attack him. He's supposed to attack Christie
Right.
and defend Trump. And it's like, come on, man. I mean, they run around here sending texts back about how you do it and this and that. Can you imagine that? And like Christie said, he said, well, if you're going to take the position that Trump's going to win anyhow, why don't you just drop out of the race and just endorse Trump? You know, he said, what's all this craziness about? I can't say anything bad about, Trump. That's ridiculous, man. It's the games
It
they
is,
play,
man.
brother.
It is,
Yeah.
brother. It really is. And we're seeing, and we're living in these days and times, and you know, and it really goes back to where all these people come from. These people that's all under Trump. These people been sitting out, man. These people been in their mountains and in their hills and in their farms, and they've been waiting for somebody like him.
Yes, they have.
They've been waiting for that
Mhm.
racist guy, that antichrist to rise up.
Mhm.
That's what they've been doing. They've been waiting for someone like this to come in, like make America great again and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, they've been waiting for this, and this is what they want.
Well, let me say this. I listened to Dr. Brenda Alton's sermon. She was our first speaker for the IMC. She talked about the difference between being a reboot and a retool. And I remember thinking, this is brilliant, because what she said is that, and I won't try to give all the examples she did, but when you reboot something, you're just going back to what you had, and you're just kicking that up again.
Mhm.
So what Trump did was he rebooted what they had. He didn't retool. Retool is to change and to do something different.
Right.
This cat to come back here and kick something off, man. And we had no idea as a country how much of that stuff was laying dormant in so many people. I mean, this guy said I could stand in the middle of New York City and commit a murder and still, get off, because that's how people see it. I mean, what? And he's not lying. He from
That's
that
right.
thing a second time.
Yeah, he done something worse than shot somebody.
That's right.
This man tried to overthrow. This man attempted a coup.
And then listen, they're talking about grabbing women by their private parts. Now he's talking about all I need is 11,000. I need 11,800 votes. So whatever he said, and they're still like, hey, that's fine, that's right.
They don't care.
Obama has said that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, there she goes. Okay, I was hoping we hadn't lost Wendy. Here you go. You'd have made it.
I had to change locations.
Yeah, I see
I've
that.
made it to California.
That's all right. In record time too, by the way. That's
I'm
good
good
stuff.
at what I do.
Yeah. But brother Owens and I were just talking about how I don't know if you caught the conversation, but how this guy's able to do so much and still, what kind of world? What are we facing here?
Hey man,
This is history now.
he is what the underbelly, what America is all about, man. And when Obama became president, it was like it just lit that fuse up, man. That replacement theory and all that stuff came into play, man. It was like, oh my, because I mean, I remember I was with my family when we used my uncles, my aunts, all them. I mean, never thought a black man would ever become president of the United States of America.
No way.
And I said, I'll know, and I was just saying, I won't live to see something like that happen. But it happened. It happened.
Yeah.
It happened. And it really just blew America's mind that this happened. And they really became crazy, man. That's when they started being crazy.
Crazy.
Then they tried, that's why they said they wanted to make it a one-term president.
Well, it's interesting. A guy said something to me yesterday in the hospital. He was, patient, nice guy and everything, but we're sitting there talking. And I'll just put in context, a white gentleman who, you would think like this. Let's put it that way. And he said to me, oh my goodness, this world is in bad shape. We've never had in this country as bad as it is today. I said, I beg to differ. And then I had to stop myself. We've never had in this country as bad as it is. What are you talking about, brother? Oh, that's right. You forgot that slavery didn't even exist for you. That's right.
Right.
Oh, Jim Crow, that didn't exist for you. I get it.
Right.
I mean, people they really want to act like that period never existed.
Right. Yeah, they do. They do. That's why they changing them, making it a benefit and show you what the benefits.
Oh my goodness.
They want to make like it didn't exist, man. Like it never existed.
Never existed. 1919 never existed. I mean, that was called the year of lynchings in this country, all over the place. It's well documented. It's there, but guess what? You have a hard time finding it. Now it's well documented, but ain't nobody pushing it out there like, let's talk about this, because it's an uncomfortable conversation for them. And then we want to forget it too. And we can't do that. We can't do that. So what does this all mean for us as writers, though? We're African-American writers on this thing tonight. How do we use it? What power should we give it? How much attention should we pay to it? What is our responsibility as writers in terms of the current reality, our past, and even our future? Anybody?
No matter what we do, no matter what our job is, our responsibility is that we all are ministers, and we all supposed to deliver the message and speak the truth, no matter what our job is, to speak the truth. And even if we're writers, then that's our thing in putting forth truth. Even if it's fiction, there's dealing with truth in there. So as writers, we are supposed to deliver the word, man. We have to deliver the word. We have to deliver the word inspirationally, spiritually, truthfully. Well, we have to lay those things out for people to think about, people to see and pop up, and something to say. Wow, hey. That's why I say maybe Brother Chris can if you Google, I told you before, King James if you Google Black King James, you'll see the picture of him. You'll see it. It's in Oxford Library. In England, the oldest library in England, man, Oxford. They have the picture of King James. But if you Google King James, you're probably gonna get the one that the one they fake you out. But if you Google Black King James, you're gonna see his picture. You're gonna be able to read who he was, King of England and King of Scotland. And that's what that movie touched on. You might say Yaphet Kotto, last King of Scotland. Yeah. What was that all about? Last King of Scotland. That was Uganda. Yeah. King James, man, was the King of Scotland. He was a black guy. So now if you're dealing with a black guy, so think about this, Nate. So if we dealing with a black king in England who they ran from, the Pilgrims, all them who were racist, they were being persecuted, and they all ran to England. I mean to the New World, what they called it, the New World.
That's right.
Ran here to America, and just think about when they cut the slaves. That's why he wanted us to learn how to read and write, because they were under a black king, and they didn't want none of that. That's why they hated us so much. I mean, you know, and the Pilgrims, we told the religions, the Pilgrims were Puritans. That was their religion, Puritan. That's white supremacists.
Okay.
That's what that, I mean, that's the history. That's what they are.
It is.
So this is what we was dealing with, okay? And that's what they didn't want. So that's why I was all about it. Tell you, man, gotta do is that's a big shocker, man, to know that the man who actually had the Bible translated was a black man.
Yes, okay. You know, it definitely got to get into that. That's powerful piece, man. Thank you. Wendy, I noticed that, you know, one of the issues of the civil rights movement and this is the history of our people, period. We have two major histories. We have the race history. We also have the treatment of black men, but we also really have the treatment of black women. That dual reality of being, you know, both, you know, a black woman plus, you know, a black person, and then how they tried to use that against and divide us, because they said, well, you in effect were two as far as affirmative action is concerned. You know, you can be checked off two boxes. All this kind of craziness that went on back in the 70s and 80s. But as a black woman, how do you see the whole, you know, narrative in terms of what your responsibility is as a writer in the context of our historical reality?
I think as a woman, you know, this again is just my personal opinion, but I think as a woman, we have a huge responsibility. I think that we have been the glue that holds it together. I think that we have a responsibility to our men who are always under, who are always a target, you know. They're always a target. So we have a responsibility at home to prepare, you know, to prepare, to support, to uplift, to encourage, and to protect. Though maybe I can't do it physically, but don't get it twisted. But I'm just saying, maybe I can't do it physically. There is a way that as a woman, as a black woman, that we protect our families and our home. Oh, yeah. And as a writer, I think it's my responsibility to write the truth. As I've said before, one of my favorite Bible verses is when the Lord spoke to, or when God spoke to Habakkuk and told him, write the vision, make it plain that those that would read it would run and not faint. Though the vision may tarry, wait on it, it will surely come and it will not lie. So I think that that's a part of our responsibility to write the story from our perspective, to be the voice from this side of the table, because I'm sure, though I've never sat on your side of the table, I'm sure it looks quite different. And so if you think of someone that has been at war, the story that they're going to tell is how the bumps and the bruises and the pains and the heartache and things like that. From my side of the story, I can talk about the warrior. You know, you might talk about the war, but I can talk about the warrior. I can talk about how I see it and be grateful, you know, for it. So I do think that we have a responsibility, but I think that responsibility that we had then continues now, because even we still have to do it. And as you guys were talking, I was listening. And as when you asked the question, my first thought went to what distracted me. So I don't know if you guys can, let's see if you guys can see it, but from my balcony, I'm right at the playground. Yeah. And so I am here right at the playground. So I see the kids and everything. And so there were some kids here, some girls with a baby, and then two little kids. The little boy looks like He may have been Middle Eastern. In this community, there's a lot of Nepalis, people from
Yes.
Nepal. So
Mhm.
the bigger girls looked as if they were trying to get the younger kids to fight, and they took the little scooter from one of the other girls. So this goes back to what my responsibility is, which has been our responsibility all along. Those are not my children.
Mhm.
Mine is in the house on the floor asleep with the dog. But
Mhm.
anyway, those aren't my children.
Mhm.
But that's my responsibility. And I know that in today's age that we have gotten far away from that. But I
Mhm.
cannot get away from being what it is that I've been called to do as a Black woman.
Right, right.
That's my responsibility. So I had to say, is that your scooter? Is that her scooter? Stop
Mhm.
what you're doing. So I was yelling. I don't know if you guys could see me, but and I was like, and if anybody has a problem with it, go home, tell your parents and tell them to come knock on my door.
All right.
Because that's our responsibility.
Mhm.
And nowadays is not safe, but when has it ever been safe for us to
Mhm.
do and be who we are?
Amen, amen.
So
That's
my
that's a
job is
good
to
piece.
write the
Yeah.
story and tell it. Yeah.
Tell the story. That's right. That's right. I'm working with some
So
young
if y'all
men.
don't hear from me in 15 minutes, if y'all don't hear from me in 15 minutes,
Listen, if it goes down, I'm turning off the camera. I'm like, I'm not in it. My name is Bennett.
I'm all on the camera.
That's too
They
funny.
record everything else, so
Yeah, they
why
do.
not? Yeah.
So there's some young men, and I don't even know the name of the house, quite frankly, but these are young men that have been adjudicated and they're, doing the thing. So I'll just say it that way. And, because I don't want to out them at all, but obviously they are, some rough young men who've gone through the system. Most of them sitting there have the ankle bracelets on. A couple of them, you can tell the attitude, man. It's like, brother, if you don't change that attitude, you're gonna end up in the big house real quick, and stuff like this. So I had a guy come on who was he's from Philadelphia, but he lived here in Harrisburg for about a good 10 years or more, and was kind of in and out of the system. He literally has done 40 years. He was able to walk off 40 years of 40-year sentence. He's now 65. And I asked him if he would. He was in my first class that I taught at Camp Hill Prison. So I asked him if he would come and not come, but speak to the gentleman by phone. And he and I talk all the time. He is an excellent storyteller, but his stories are real. And that's the sad part about it. He doesn't tell any fantasy stuff. I mean, this brother can tell you stories that make the hair stand on the back of your neck, and it just is what it is. This is how he grew up. So when you read Man, Child, and the Promised Land, well, actually, the better book would be for what I'm talking about is Convicted in the Womb. I always lift up that book. I just think it's one of the real classics that more people need to read in order to understand what prison can do, to the mind and the spirit and the soul. But he spoke to these 15 young men, and I got to tell you, I remember thinking about it at the last second. I said, "Oh, let me call my man, and see whether he'd be willing to do that." He said, "Well, yeah, And so, with no preparation at all, I just asked him to tell a bit of his story and to speak to these guys. I told him who the guys were. I said, "I want you to speak directly to them." These are guys who are very disrespectful. Let me just put it that way. I mean, they get the language to come out their mouth, this and that. You could hear a pin drop in that room for a minute. And then at one point I said to him, I said, "Well, listen, I want to bore you guys." I was like, "No, no, no, we're not bored. No, no, no." And so then I said, "Well, I want you to be prepared to ask some questions now." And right off the bat, hands go up and they talk kind of soft. It's almost like they were either trying to be cool or they were intimidated by, "I don't want to ask this guy because this guy knows," kind of thing. But he broke it down. I mean, he really did. So, and I told him, I said, "You're a writer, but you don't know it. I mean, you are a storyteller, man, and you've got to tell the story, tell your story." I said, "Because your story is the everyman story in certain blocks, if you know what I mean. There's guys, kids who are understanding what you understand, but they're hitting to where you were, and you could probably help them, change direction if you would just simply tell them the story and the consequences, you know." Anyhow, so I'm still working on him, but he's somebody that I'm trying to push and cultivate into becoming right. I said, "You may not want to sit down and write it, but you need to tell it so someone can write it for you. Just capture your words, your vision, whatever it might be." So that's the other thing I hope that we'll get more into is storytelling, is the verbal art, not just the writing, but just, boom, because that's how we started off. We started off with the griot and all that, and people used to sit in circles and just listen. Neil mentioned something that made me go back immediately. He said how he would listen to the elders, listen to people, they, tell the stories. That's what I did as a kid. I mean, I was always up under listening to this, I wanted to know everything they were saying because I was fascinated by history and by the social impact of what these elders were talking about. I mean, as a kid, I loved playing ball and stuff, but I think I got as much joy out of listening to the stories that were being told, the gossip, that was being handed out, as I did playing ball. I really did, So it doesn't surprise me that I find myself in a circle like this of talented writers and people who understand the power of telling the story. Cerebral people, let's put it that way. That's who you guys represent for me. You're cerebral thinkers, you're deep thinkers, and you're also community builders because you're deep thinkers. And so I know everyone that you touch, you're touching them in a very spiritual way. It's powerful stuff that we're doing, folks. So I just hope that more people will take time to do that. And that's one thing that I hope that I've played around the edges of it, but I hope that we can do a better job of really taking the storytelling piece and making it a bigger part of the workshop, So having said that, before I get to your responses and stuff and get both of you to jump in here, let's do one more video. Let's do another video. I'm gonna say one more. Let's do another video because I know Brother Chris spends time digging these up for us, and we always get a lot out of them. So let's have another video at this time.
Culture's torn ripcords. We can't afford to ignore them. Our sirens of compassion that just won't allow for complacency. Here's to you. To those we find difficult looking in eyes, your only fault was the light in them was too bright. But I see you. I know you. Not your name or your story. Although tell me your name. Tell me your story. I know you because we share a mold. You taught me. You don't have to understand everything to get something out of anything. And I get you. I owe you, and I'm gonna spend my life paying it back. To the diseased in ditches, to the celebrated and to the stepped over, to the far and to the near, to the all of the above, our faith and beyond, Samaritan's purse, helping in Jesus' name, honoring who the world has rejected, befriending the friendless, including the excluded, a love that says inaction is irreconcilable, and actions that get their motives from nothing short of gospel. Loving my neighbor as ourselves, and let's be honest, we love ourselves. Thank you. I'm gonna cherish your presence. You show me him. You show me me. You, all of you, my neighbor. Because no one can say they love him and not love them. So go love them in Jesus' name.
Like that. Good stuff. Welcome, Nazil. How you doing?
I'm good. Good night.
You hesitated on that when you said I'm good to see you though.
Yeah, same
Good
here.
to see you. Yes, indeed. Hey, listen,
Hey,
I'm glad
Lizelle.
you joined us.
Hey,
How you doing?
hi.
All right. So listen, I'm glad you came on. It's the last 45 minutes of the show about, and so I hope that we can do some readings tonight. Anybody got any poetry you want to lift up?
Yeah.
Wonderful, good. How
I can
about
come
you?
up with something.
I appreciate you. I'll try to share something as well. Brother Neil, you have a piece of a reading or something that you'd like to lift up?
No, I'm good. I'll just listen to them.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. Well, we'll keep the conversation going as well. Let's get to some reading though tonight. And since Wendy was on first here, Wendy, I don't know if you have something. If not, I'll go to the Zill first.
Go to Lizelle. Yeah, you can go to Lizelle first.
Okay, very good. Okay. Zill, you got it. You got the calm, as they say.
Yeah. Okay. This is called The Priceless Melanin. I think this is one of the submissions I did to the magazine. So,
Okay.
The Priceless Melanin. The rich, black, and sassy but golden ebony rich chocolate that melts in your heart. You feel the passion. Mocha is my mix of a fusion so sweet to taste that my espresso is quenching and feeding my veins that drips in coffee cups. I love the Cocoa Puffs that sugar me down to a smooth cream of caramel that give me that hype, like bees that buzz for my sweetness of honey, which flows through my melanin shape. Can't touch this because it's grounded to perfection. Melanin in every direction, I rise to the occasion. My sweat is power and strength. I'm priceless with every pore. That's it.
Nice.
Okay.
Got some real powerful, images in there, and yeah, nice little rhyming schemes as well. Yeah, huh. I like
Is
it.
that a
My
new
daughter
piece?
she had a jersey and the jersey is dripping with melanin. So it had ebony, it had chocolate, it had espresso, mocha. And I said, give me that jersey. Let me make a boy.
That's all right. You were getting ready to jump into too, Wendy.
No, I was gonna ask if that was a newer piece of mine.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
very good. Okay.
I just wrote it this week.
Are you serious? Okay, just this week. Okay, cool. And you were inspired by the jersey.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's the way to do it. I like it. Thank you.
Like the sweat is, the person said sweat is power and strength.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. Wendy, I see you disappeared. Oh Lord,
Am I not here?
there you go. I thought they had gotten you.
I'm here.
Okay. I thought they had gotten you,
With
man. I'm like, oh Lord.
taps up and moving around, so
Is
they
he
know better
okay?
now. Yeah, they know
I-
better now. No, it was
I thought I
it
felt
got chilly, The weather is
uh-huh.
changing and it's, you got to get the best of it while we can. So
Yes,
I
indeed. Yeah.
tried sitting out on the balcony for a while, but it got chilly.
It did, didn't
You
it? It
know,
was kind of interesting. Yeah, it's supposed to go back up this weekend, but it got a little cooler. This morning you
yeah,
mentioned
it
about, yeah.
did.
Uh-huh.
I
Hey,
was like, what? Because,
is Taft still writing his poetry?
he does write. He's not sharing it as much. I haven't seen anything, but I've seen him writing. But he
Okay.
has lately, I guess the only thing he's really writing is recipes.
Good.
Interestingly,
Mhm.
Taft will be cooking dinner on Sunday, or a brunch on Sunday at the church for the young people that are going back to college.
Nice. Go ahead,
So he's
Taft.
cooking a gourmet. The church has commissioned him to cook a gourmet meal for the young people that are going back to school.
Go ahead, Taft.
And
And
I
for
am
people who
his
don't know
sous
who
chef.
Taft is, go
Uh,
ahead now.
yes, Taft is my son. 18 years old. He's a student at Walnut Hill College in Philadelphia in culinary arts. He will have his associate's degree in February, and then
Fantastic.
he's going to stay and continue to work on his bachelor's degree in culinary arts and I believe restaurant management.
Good for him. Go ahead, man. He knows we're proud of him, so that's all good,
Yeah,
But tell him
yeah.
anyhow. Tell him
I'll pass it
anyhow. We're
on.
proud of him. Yes, sir.
I'll
All
pass it
right.
on.
Fantastic. And then tell him to come cook me a meal, but it's all good, What can I tell you?
Yes, and
You
he's good at it. He's
I
really
know.
an excellent cook. So
That's
I'm
fantastic. Well,
excited about it.
so are we. So are we. So do you have a poem that you'd like to share?
I do. This is an oldie, but just in thinking about in some of the things that we were talking about before, I
Mhm.
wanted to share this one. And as I always say, this does not reflect the opinions of management or of the establishment. These are my own personal opinions.
Oh boy, hold your
Um,
seat.
it's called the 31 word lie.
Mhm.
The 31 word lie. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A 31-word fabrication written in 1892 by Socialist Minister Francis Bellamy. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies. I've always wanted to be patriotic. I've always wanted that pride swelling experience when the flags are raised or carried by as people place their hands over their hearts. The original flag salute was to extend your hand toward the flag, palm down. In World War II, concerned that this resembled the Nazis, it was changed to what is used today. But that wasn't all that resembled what the Nazis did. And so somewhere between raising a hand to a symbol of misogyny and oppression and placing my hand over my heart, I raised my fist tightly clenched to symbolize a grip on the truth and an unwillingness to accept the lie. I pledge allegiance to truth and righteousness. In a classroom in anywhere USA where the books refuse to tell the truth about 2/3 of a population by omission and by a process of elimination, these students don't hear about the great passage of their ancestors. And I want to be a proud American like Chevy and apple pie, but I wasn't included in the Constitution. And though Whitney Houston made it sound good, verse 1 is just a cover, and verse 3 tells a 40-word truth. No refuge could save the hireling enslaved from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph doth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Why do we only sing verse 1 of a 4-verse national anthem? Oh, say does such a banner of freedom yet wave? Those same students in my town, USA, are tested with an across-the-line standardized test in the 4th grade to provide statistics to the Department of Criminal Justice predicting and anticipating residents for the belly of the beast before they even reach puberty. But those same numbers don't get books or better schools, so a high standard test is given in low standard schools where the administration has a deficit in cultural diversity and there are underpaid teachers who don't even know the difference between the action verb of my mama be gone and the definitive statement of my daddy is gone. And I want to be patriotic. I want to say that when my country fights for the freedom of the masses, I'm included. You see, they swept racism under the rug and hid discrimination in the shed where they carefully hid the whites only signs. They forgot to cancel bigotry and instead gave it a position with authority, a gun and a gavel. And now we carry Black Lives Matter signs in a nation that's supposed to have justice for all. So I place my hand over my heart because self-preservation is survival's first law. In 1893, Catherine Bates petitioned God to shed his grace on thee. She continued, till nobler men keep once again thy whiter jubilee. I want to believe that though I was included in the huddled masses that reached the shores from sea to shining sea, the great American dream includes even me. Soldiers fighting to the death for an indivisible nation that intentionally sacrificed their brown-skinned soldiers to confuse their darker-colored enemy. Our men departed for a purpose and a cause to return as broken souls, their bodies mangled and their minds marred, only to find that the dream of returning home as heroes was replaced with the consolation prize of second-class citizenship and their bodies bound with melanoma and disease. We should all have PTSD, and why do so many Vietnam vets have colon cancer or some other form of malignant carcinoma? Perhaps Miss Evers' boys weren't America's only human lab rats. I want to say I'm proud to be an American, but America isn't proud to have me. Our fellow compatriots called us refugees in Katrina, and FEMA, or the Federal Encouragement of Missions or Matters Abroad, thought that a $2,000 gift card in a metal shipping container as a home could replace the losses of an entire region while they stood by as we watched our families being torn apart for the umpteenth time in American history. The levees of equality have been compromised, breached, and are broken, and I'll snap for myself because I know I'm telling the truth. I want to be patriotic instead of an orphan bereft of a nationality. I came as a slave, then a Negro, colored, Black, and Afro, and African American. Only 2 countries in the world characterize their citizens by the color of their skin. One can now boast an end to apartheid, and America won't even admit that apartheid would be the sniffles compared to the racism and partial hate that has plagued our land. America has bastardized a whole race of people who have built this sweet land of liberty with their bare hands and have sacrificed life and limb just to be accepted, or at least not excluded. The lie speaks for itself. Well, the truth will set this country free. You can't be under God until you are truly indivisible, and it's not liberty or justice if it's not for all. America, just mean what you say or say what you mean. Until then, I'll be watching your every move, questioning your every proclamation, and pointing out your deception and misrepresentations, holding up my fist as a sign of my allegiance to what's fair and right and my refusal to accept anything less. And until you get it right, I'll just be a proud Americanized African.
Amen, amen.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you,
Good
Taff.
things.
Yes.
You know,
Well,
that that I mean that's exactly what should be said.
Mm.
You know, exactly. And breaking it down, and how many people really take notice of what was actually said and what you actually said.
Mhm.
Like the things that they don't even pay attention to, like, yeah, Katrina, we were called refugees.
Mhm.
Refugees.
That's right.
I mean, this is what was being said on the news, okay?
Mhm.
The media, on television, the news, all of them. They were calling us refugees, the reporters.
Mhm.
They was calling them refugees. I mean, just check that out, man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, this that's what I mean by telling you about how real stuff is.
Mhm.
We sit there and you know, we sleeping on a lot.
Oh yeah.
And it's like when he brought in the Bellamy salute. I mean, yeah, that's a Nazi salute. That's what these people, that's what the American flag, that's what they were, all the way until Japan attacked Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
That's when they stopped. Because they stopped their allegiance, because they had allegiance with Germany, with Hitler.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just real. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what's happening.
Yeah.
You remember Charles Lindbergh?
Oh yeah.
He had a thing called America First Committee. Okay, America First Committee, Charles Lindbergh. They were the ones, he once spoke at that Nazi rally in 1939 in Madison Square Garden that had a portrait, a big giant portrait of George Washington behind it on the center of the stage, and then swastikas on each side of George Washington.
Mm.
I mean, this is real deep stuff. That's why they love Trump so much, because Trump is a German.
Mhm.
And he's a blonde-haired German. He's Aryan. He represents the Aryan nation.
Mm.
That's what it's
Wow.
all about. That's
You
why they
know, by
love
the
him
way,
so much.
yeah, there's a movie out. Did you guys hear about the Sound of Freedom?
Yes, I've heard about it. I've not
Yeah,
seen
the
it.
Sound of Freedom. I haven't seen it, but yeah, I
Yeah,
heard.
try not to see it. Try your best not to see it. I'm just saying that, being facetious, but it is a movie that's being lifted up by the QAnon group, and it is strategically made. And also, Donald Trump just showed actually sponsored a major showing of it. And so there's not just that. There's another one out also earlier this summer. And if you watch Facebook, you'll see that they're pushing tickets. They also plant people at the theaters, and they'll come out and they'll come right up to you. Oh my goodness, you got to see this movie. Blah blah. Also, that's all orchestrated. And so the whole thing is, it has a real sort of anti, from what I'm being told, the anti-immigrant thing with it. And QAnon it's a rallying call for the QAnon group and Trump's people.
Right.
Don't sleep on this. They're very, very good at what they do. And the one actor is very well known. And so he's been one of the big supporters, which people didn't know, of QAnon. And so he's the lead star in this thing, Sound of Freedom. But it's real slick what they're doing. And we went to the movies, and I was telling Pat this because Pat wanted to see the movie. I said, "Did you check out this thing?" And this woman came right up to Pat and started telling about how great the movie. Oh my goodness, wasn't that good? And I said to Pat, I said, "Just listen very carefully. It's all a plan. So anyhow, this from what I'm being told, I have not seen the movie. I did read some reviews about what I'm telling you, and that's why I'm passing it along. But yeah, it's amazing. you know, the kind of stuff that's done out there. But I will applaud them for being slick enough to think about it. Think about that for a minute. They made a full-length movie that will appeal to the masses because it has enough action and stuff, but also has an agenda, you know, and that's what we have to be careful about. Like, what's the agenda here? And they're trying to sway minds, you know, and so it is what it is. So anyhow, but you can go online and just look up, you know, Google it, and you'll see all the different.
Are you talking about Mel Gibson?
No, not Mel. It's the other guy. He was on a thing with Taraji P. Henson used to be on a TV program where this guy had this super thing and he could figure out what's going to happen in the future and all that kind of stuff. And her co-star, that's the guy. I can't call his name now. You've seen a lot of things. But yeah, it's not Mel Gibson. Now, Mel Gibson and this guy, I think, had a battle or something. They were going back and forth, what I understand. But this guy, when you look it up, look up the movie Sound of Freedom, and then look up what it says, the criticisms about it. QAnon, look up the QAnon connection from Sound of Freedom. It'll tell you who the star is. And Trump just had a major showing of it. He's really pushing it. Yeah.
Okay, QAnon supporters are promoting Sound of Freeman. Sound of Freeman. So the director, Alejandro Monteverde, claims he won't make any money. Jim Caviezel is the main character. Jim Caviezel. So it says QAnon supporters are promoting Sound of Freeman here. Sound of Freedom. Here's why. And it says that, well, then it says Sound of Freedom, a Christian thriller about a former federal agent rescuing children from exploitation, is a summer surprise box office hit. It made for about $15 million. It earned almost as much.
You're muted. You're muted. Yeah, Wendy, you're still muted. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay. As the final installment of Indiana Jones, and has raked in more than 85 million. But the movie is being criticized as a vehicle for conspiracy theories and misleading depictions of human trafficking, landing it in the middle of the country's politically polarized cultural wars. The film, based on real-life controversial anti-trafficking activists, is being heavily promoted in conservative media. Former President Donald Trump is hosting a screening on Wednesday at Golf Club. So they come on, the guy comes on the screen to end urging viewers to buy more tickets. So I guess we would have to go on, it's a long article, but basically, I mean, it's saying what you said. I went on to see who the actors were.
Yeah.
But you
once you see the faces. Yeah, it's I'm telling you, they know what they're doing. They're real slick at their messaging and how they do it. And it's always under that banner of Christian conservatism, you know, kind of thing. It's very interesting what they do. And I remember when I first discovered, I went to one of their movies back, you know, a few years back. I remember thinking, this doesn't feel right. And then I started, you know, kind of tracking what they do and how they do it. And think about it, they made that movie for $50 million. That's not a small movie. They threw $50 million into that bad boy.
15.
Oh, 15. I'm sorry, 15 million. Okay. And that's still a nice size, you know. And then they said, how much did they make off of it so far?
85.
85. They invested 15, made 85. So I mean, a whole bunch of people going. But one of the things that they do is they will contact local pastors and give you tickets, and they'll tell you that you want you to come so that you'll get your congregation excited about coming. And then they slant the truth, you know, that's crazy. But remember, it all starts with what? It starts with writing and research. And we are writers, right? We should be putting some stuff out there that we think. Remember, one of the movies that got highly criticized maybe 6-7 years ago was the movie about Nat Turner's Rebellion. The young brother from, he went to Penn State, you know, and everything. He invested his own money. That was a well-done movie, but guess what? They tried to knock him out the box from day one, you know, bringing up all kinds of allegations and everything else, and try to get the Black community, who by and large did kind of stay away. We didn't celebrate that movie the way we should have. But, you know, that's what they do, you know. But that brother realized this story needs to be told. You know, Nat Turner's story. Anyhow, it is what it is.
Absolutely.
So good stuff. Yeah. So what time do we have, by the way? I don't want to. I think I lost my watch. I'm still looking. My watch fell off my arm, and that
So
bad.
that's that watch I found.
Is that the one?
I got a new watch.
Explain what it looks like. I'm telling you, boy, I've been heartbroken all day. I'm like, oh Lord, have mercy. But it is what it is. Actually, I was too cheap. I should have went on and bought me a band when I realized my band was defective. You know what I mean? But I didn't. So now I'm paying the consequences. What can you say? But anyhow, I noticed that we do still have some time. Why don't you, if you'd like to pick out two more poems, preferably a poem that will end sometime by 12 o'clock tonight, just wondering if I could.
Lizelle, don't let him talk about you like that. Don't let him talk about you like that. We'll stand together. He shouldn't say stuff like that about you.
Just around 12 midnight at work. Anyhow.
That's funny. That's funny.
Lizelle, did you have one that you want to share with us?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a Trini one.
Okay.
One. I believe it's not really Trini. I guess it's all over. I believe you all went through that too, but when I read it, then you will let me know if you all been through that.
And before you start, can I ask you a quick question? I noticed that you have your first female president in Trinidad. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know much about her or how she's doing or anything like that?
Miss Weeks, Mayor Weeks, I believe is her name. Haven't read up much on her, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just happened to see that little fact, and I thought, oh, okay. And I figured you knew it and everything, but I just wanted to know what you heard about it.
But I haven't read up much on her. I still my brother tried to send me the news now and again, so at least I'll know what's going on.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good. How many brothers and sisters do you have, by the way?
Well, it's really 7 of us, but different fathers and mothers, but we all consider each other as brothers.
I know all about it. Don't listen. I know the history. This is I have 10 on my side that the different. Yeah, it is what it is. It
is what it is.
That's life.
That's life.
Anyhow, but so okay, you want to share your piece?
Yeah, it's called "Listen to Mommy."
Mm-hmm.
Long time. You could not talk when big people talking. It was a slap across your face. You might see a flying coconut coming straight at you. It will mistake your mouth for the goalpost, and you may just see teeth flying. That is if you ain't swallow them. You know them hard, husky, brown, dry coconut? Yes, that one. Here, man. That was the weapon for parents. Any rudeness is cricket being played in the house because they pelting that coconut and it hitting you for 6. Another thing, when mommy cook food, you must eat it, or else is a pot spoon in your mouth or a backhand slap. And if you stoops or say you're not eating it, man, don't give no back talk. Don't forget the cut eye, or else a nice husky brown coconut will come flying in and hitting you, not for 6, but for a home run. That's it.
I love that piece.
I do too.
Wow. That is really cool. I like the
That is.
brown coconut though.
Yeah.
It's not a hurt. Wow.
And not much different.
Go ahead. You go ahead, Wesley.
No, I was gonna say not much different from maybe not the same items, but the same rules. And I think you said, did you say and if you cut eye Is that like
Yeah, they
rolling
cut
your
eye,
eyes?
your eye going on, you're watching them. It's kind of, you can't do
Yes,
that.
yes. So see, the rules were the same, and that lets you know things that are cultural and things that are a part of who we are. That's like
That's
the
right.
fabric of who we are. It did not work anywhere. Didn't
That's
matter
right.
where you landed or where you ended up.
Mhm.
That did not work. Talking back, talking when adults were like, you didn't talk when grown folks were
That's
talking.
right.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
and it
Yeah.
comes from that era of children were to be seen and not heard.
I've heard. But I gotta ask a question. Did they really throw coconuts?
Yeah, they did.
Ooh.
Anything that came in their hand, pelted. A butt spoon pelted, anything, or we have the oh, you got a backhand slap. I got that already.
Oh,
Being
yeah.
rude a little bit, but you know, the coconut, my those children, my ex-husband, those children father, his grandmother, I think he wanted to be rude and she felt it and it hit away his teeth.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So they
My
were
goodness.
really
Wow.
mean when it comes to real mean, when it comes to discipline. They didn't play.
They didn't
They
play.
didn't play.
My mom used to
Wow.
always say she was going to kill me before God got the news. And I thought to myself, how are you going to kill me before God gets the news? And I don't want to find out
Wow.
exactly how she ended up doing that. But that was the first thing I heard about. I'll kill you before God got the news. I'm like, what?
I like that.
What kind of murderous criminal are you? I mean, come on. Anyhow, yeah, boy. So that was
Wow.
good. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
That was
Wendy,
very good.
yeah.
Yes. This one is probably my shortest one,
Uh-oh.
but no, it still fits in what we were talking about. It's called Society's Zoological Garden.
Okay.
Society's Zoological Garden. Captivity. A wild specimen taken from the original environment. Estranged, this creature different from the rest. Stuck in a world so new. Withdrawal. Various articles placed nearby to simulate the original setting. Depression. Trying to fit in. Culture shock. Resisting adaptation. Ethnocentricity. Thinking of what home was like. Nostalgia. Wishing for all the things that were. Oppression. Forced into an unclaimed, unwanted, callous status. Captivity. Welcome to Society's Zoological Gardens. Please do not feed the animal's intellect and please do not touch the animal's emotions. To the left, ladies and gentlemen, you will notice specimen number 1, Homo sapiens, we call it. Captivity. 3 pins past the polar bears, sharp left of the mountain goats, right before you get to the reptile house. Caught, captivated, and stuck. Scared, angry, and confused. Nevertheless, captivity. We do hope you enjoy your visit at the beautiful and plentiful zoological gardens of society.
Wow. Even your short ones are powerful. Get out of here. Very good. And it's so funny. I always joke about Wendy's pieces, but when you do the short ones, it's like, wait a minute. That ain't you. I like your storytelling, man. I like the stories. Yeah, that's really
I
good.
wrote that years, I want to say probably I would say I probably wrote that in the early to mid 90s.
Wow.
I was a substitute teacher at it was a science magnet, which was a school in Buffalo. It was a science magnet school in Buffalo that was actually in the zoo. So the kids went to school in the zoo. So they called it the zoo school.
Wow.
And so, on my lunch break, I could go out in the zoo and just walk around. And so I would go and sit. There was a little place right, like I said, right by the mountain goats, so you could see them. And I would sit there, and there's not a lot of places to really eat lunch in a zoo because you smell the zoo, But I would sit there and I wrote that. So that probably would have been it would have been before 93 because I left Buffalo in 93. So it would have been
Wow.
91, between 91 and 93. And I sat in the zoo and wrote that.
Fantastic. You know, so you just brought up something for me, and that is, you know, we've all been writing for a while, right? So some pieces we probably have written and can't even find them right now, you know, because you wrote it on this and wrote it on that kind of thing. But if you had to really stop and think about it, if you could find the oldest piece that you've written that you can actually put your hands on, could you actually do that? Can you think of what it might be, where it might be, the whole bit, a piece that you wrote years ago, maybe, and you still have it, you know, maybe you didn't publish it, maybe you didn't, whatever, I don't know. How about you, Lazille?
Yeah, I could find something that I wrote years ago.
And how long do you think you've been writing? You know, did you write with, are you relatively new, or did you write years ago? You know,
I would say years ago, from back home. Yeah.
Back home?
Yeah, in Trinidad.
Give us some idea about how long ago we're talking.
We're talking about like 2011.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
2011. Gotcha. All right. And in terms of, you know, my world, you know, Wendy's world, that's probably real young. I mean, because man, you know, wow, you said 2011. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, I shouldn't say 2011, huh? As I should say like around 2009 or so, because that's when I started writing for the little competitions they have on the radio station. Yeah, like Father's Day and Mother's Day and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when she said 2009, that definitely made it better.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, wait a minute.
And I would win, and I would win the competitions, and my coworkers encouraged me to keep on writing. But at the time, I was like, yeah.
But I will tell you, I like the way that you embrace your culture. You know, your you know, the Trinidadian, if you will, culture. And when that piece you just read, I mean, that was like vintage. That was great stuff. You know.
Yes.
So it was. So how about you, Wendy? If you had to go all the way back, and you know, where do you think you could find something?
I have things that I've written in the early 80s, high school, you know, high schoolish, or maybe a little bit before high school, but I've always been a writer. It was a journal. First it was a diary, then a journal. So my journals, I still have some of those, you know, from, you know, before then. But as far as things that I can share or things that I would share, probably the late 80s, because I would write and I would share it with my grandmother, and only with my grandmother. For a long time, my grandmother was the only person that knew that I was writing. And so she would always say, write a book, baby, write a book. And so, you know, save that. And I save that. And she would, now read it again. Now say this, now read it again. And it was my grandmother who I think just kind of really cultivated my love for it, because she was interested in the same things, and she was interested in reading. So we read, you know, the same things, and she would buy a book. She would read the book and write in the, you know, in the, like the columns, like in the margins of the book. Like, what do you think happened here? Or, oh, I saw that coming. So even if I wasn't interested in the book, I read it because I wanted to see her comments.
Okay.
You know, so she had me reading Khalil Gibran, Dante, like different things. You know, like we read Othello together, and I didn't really want to read that then, because that wasn't cool. That wasn't what my friends were reading, you know. But I read it because I wanted to see what she wrote. And so like for Colored Girls, she wrote all through it, and we passed, and I'd write stuff, and we passed that book back and forth. And so that just kind of got me into it.
Fantastic. That's good stuff. Neil, we were just talking about if you had to think back to how long you've been writing and pieces that maybe, you know, you produced way back when or whenever, that you can put your hands on. Because sometimes we write pieces and they kind of get away from us. We're not exactly sure what that piece is. How far back do you think you could go? And if you had to put your hands on it, you could actually find a piece right now.
Well, I wrote my first story in the 5th grade. and I remembered the story, and actually, it was a horror story.
Mhm.
And I actually put it in my new book, the Storyteller. Is one of
Okay.
the short stories.
Mhm.
Yeah, called The Clocks.
Clock. Uh-oh.
Clocks.
That sounds demonic. Let me ask you a question, man. So, fifth grade, you were probably about how old then?
I guess what, about 10, 11?
Something like that? Okay, 10, 11, yeah. That's deep. But you remember that you may not be able to put your hand on it, but you remember the story.
Yeah, I can't remember. I remember
Yeah,
the
okay.
story. Yeah, I remember the story.
So you recreated it for
Yeah,
the
I
book that's
created the
coming out called The
story.
Storyteller.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
created. Yeah, I
Okay.
remember the story.
Yeah, yeah. It's important to know our beginnings, right? Where we started from. And I like Wendy's description and Lizelle, but you were talking about how you know, got going. Then Neil, I mean, fifth grade, man, that's deep. You wrote a story back then that you feel comfortable even including in your book. Ain't that something? Man, that's pretty.
I mean, I didn't think about being a writer. I just,
Well, yeah, you just wrote
yeah,
the story, but
but
now
yeah,
look at you now.
Here it came all the way full
Uh-huh.
circle. I remember the story, and
Uh-huh.
but it,
You never know, just because you do something, you think, but you don't know that that's the spark, right? That's the beginning of something that's going to be
that's
life
right.
affirming, really.
Right.
I mean, think about that, man. Oh, man. I don't know if any of us started out to be a writer. We just simply wrote something. And then all of a sudden we found ourselves in a position where writing became extremely important to us, right? You know, and yeah, good stuff, real good stuff. I want to keep a check on my time because I'm always mindful of Brother Chris's time. And we have about 5 more minutes to go. I do want to remind everybody that tomorrow, Brother Chris and Sister Melissa are renewing their vows. I understand that they will have a poetic rendering by Nate Gadsden. Wendy Noche Onye will be giving the poetry. She always channel my inner Wendy. Anyhow, but this is going to be a wonderful thing. Again, congratulations to Chris and Melissa.
Yes.
Well, God bless you, man. Thank you for all that you do, both of you, and I appreciate you. And good that listen, a happy another 10, 15, 20 more years together, 30 more years.
Yeah.
I make it 50, okay? 50 more years together and have yourself a blessed time. Don't forget too, coming up, we have some things happening here in the Berg. And I always lift them up. And Lizelle, I hope that you'll visit with us again. And we enjoyed having Lizelle down. She came down for
Yes.
what was that? It was at the state museum. What was the event again? It was Juneteenth. Was it Juneteenth?
Yeah.
Yeah, Juneteenth.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
it was Juneteenth. Yeah.
it was okay. Yeah. So that was a nice celebration. But we have a couple things coming up. One is next week. We're going to have our book giveaway, not book giveaway, back to school. I keep saying book giveaway, back to school, supply thing we're doing out there at CVS. And let's see, does Brother Chris have the flyer? There it goes, back to school event. And it's going to take place next Saturday, the 26th from 12 noon to 5 p.m. at the Dollar General. I keep saying CVS, Dollar General parking lot. And I want to thank Dollar General because we had an event there last year and they were so, taken back by it that they said, hey, why don't you do it again? So you see our sponsors are Giant Foods and Aetna, as well as, of course, Dollar General. And we're going to have a great time. Everything's free. We hope people come out. We've had a lot of people donate materials to us. And so on behalf of, the Writers Wordshop Life Esteem, I want to thank all those people, even today. Nicole Wilkerson, who's our events coordinator, was given a big box of stuff for people said, I just want to, and then a bunch of young ladies stepped up and gave calculators. And these are two sisters who they do stands that are, they're vendors all the time for us. And they surprised us by coming up with a bunch of calculators for kids to go back to school. And they're young kids themselves. I mean, they're in junior high school themselves, but they've been doing so well with their lemonade stand and all the things they do, and their mothers are go-getters. So they're entrepreneurs and they're giving back already. That's just wonderful. So thank you both. And to all the people that gave materials and everything, and we're still accepting materials. By the way, let me say this real quickly too. Don't forget, writers, every last one of you. By the way, the latest issue of the Writers Workshop magazine features Neil Owen's piece. Neil, did you see it?
Yeah, I did. I saw it. Yeah.
Okay, real good. Were you pleased?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, real good. Wendy, you've been featured in there, am I right?
Yes, yes. This the August edition. I had a book review, and I will be submitting mine. My goal is to submit every month.
Okay.
Every month. I think it's excellent exposure. Really good company to be, published and printed with. And I think that as we all share it, we're putting ourselves out there. And to have your stuff, you can say that I'm published in a digital magazine.
There you
And
go. There you
I
go.
think it's a great opportunity.
Fantastic. And Nazil, we listen. You had a piece in there so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought for sure you did. And so thank you for submitting. And I hope that you'll take a chance to, you do so many poems, send them out. I mean, always send something in, okay? And if you haven't sent anything in for September, folks, feel free to submit. We'd love to have about the 20th, today's 18th already. But if you can get it in by Monday or something like that, it'd be great. And you know how to get it in. Again, it's just Writers Wordshop Online at gmail.com. Writers Wordshop Online at gmail.com. And Sarita Henderson, who is the person who puts it all together for us, I call her the editor. She does a fantastic job, and she'll make sure that the piece gets in. If it doesn't get in, we try to keep the pages down because we could go forever. But if it doesn't get in for September, it'll be in for October. But anything you submit will be published. That's a guarantee. It may not get in right away, but it'll get in. Even my wife had a piece that she sent in for August, and we decided, you know what, we'll put it in September kind of thing, because you just, we got to be careful about how many pages. But we will guarantee you that your piece will be, if submitted, we will do our best to publish it. All right. That's our guarantee. So please, each one of you, if you haven't sent anything in for September, please feel free to do so. I don't care if it's a poem, a short story, like Wendy, the book review, that kind of thing. So, feel free to do that. All right. Okay. And if you ever forget what the, submission thing is, just text me rather than email me. Just text me, 717-608-2312. Text me and I'll make sure that you get the right information. All right. Love to have it. So I'm gonna let it go at there. Again, we're on every Friday night, folks, from 7 to 9. We love to get more voices on. We enjoy having Neil and Wendy and Nazil. And tonight we're missing Dan Snowden comes on quite a bit. We have a nice little cadre. We got to get Ro back in the rotation. Ro in the rotation. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Got to get Ro back in the rotation. She's doing great things, and miss her voice. And also, Queenie. Got to hear from Queenie again. Get her back on board. But anybody that you would like to bring on board, by the way, and and you feel comfortable with them, just give them the information. Tell them to come on and join us. And we're not trying to be an exclusive club. We just want to make sure that people are serious when they come on and they really want to contribute. That's all. We don't want people coming on screaming and howling and, hijacking the broadcast. So no more of that. But I want to thank you all for coming on tonight. I hope that you, whatever you do this weekend, is productive and that you, are blessed and be safe out there. All right. Everybody good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hope to see you next Friday, if not before. Okay. Good night, everybody. All right. Now.
Good night.
All right. All right. Hey, the Wintermen. All right. Appreciate that.
Nice.
All right. Okay, see y'all now. Okay. All right.